I'm Matt Swider.
I'm David Lum.
And we're both from Tech Radar, and today we're unboxing a bunch of Google products, including the Google Pixel 4. Let's take a look. So we have a bunch of stuff we got from the Google Pixel 4 launch event, and that we are reviewing on Tech Radar right now. In fact, if you go there, you'll probably find some good content on techradar.com. But David, what do you have in your basket?
We got some cases. We got a nice car charger for all the wireless charging you want to do on the road. We have the new Google Nest Mini.
That's nice.
This is their new Google small home product that also is partnered with all their Nest router, Wi-Fi sort of things.
Yeah, but let's start with the phone. So you have your phone, the Pixel 4 XL. I have the Pixel 4 right here. And yeah, let's clear all these off the table and do an unboxing. So we have a little tape right here, an easy to open little tab to peel. So you have the orange version, or is it just barely orange? Is that the price? Or
it is oh so orange.
Oh so orange. I have the penguin color, also known as clearly white. So that's the white version.
The signature Google funny color names.
Yeah. So let's open these up. I have a second tab here.
As you can see, very nice. The signature Google packaging. Nice little tab here.
Right. Get that out. So mine is a lot smaller, and I kind of prefer that these days with a smaller phone in the hand. Although I like the bigger screen, so I'm kind of conflicted, and that's why I want a foldable phone, but maybe not this year from Google, maybe 2020 or beyond.
We'll wait till the next generation.
Right. So as you can see, the phone isn't completely different from what we've used before, so we can actually get out as we turn these on and let them fire up. There we go. Yeah. Well, we can get out the comparison to last year's phone. The measurements are almost the same. It's a tad less wide, but everything else is pretty big, girth and lengthwise, or tallness. But the back is really what you want to kind of pay attention to, and that's the camera. So tell us about the camera.
It's pretty much what we saw with all the leaks, including the one that Google lifted itself. So last year's model, up until the Pixel 3 and Pixel 3a, we had one single 12.2 megapixel shooter. That camera is still here, but we also have this 16 megapixel telephoto. And those combined are going to improve the photography. We've already seen some good shots at the presentation today. Really eager to go out on the hunt with this. This is definitely the year that we saw a bunch of ultra-wide lenses added on, but those were the iPhone and the Samsung S10 and Note 10 lines that added ultra-wides from going from 2 to 3. Maybe next year we'll get ultra-wides on our Google Pixel line. Yeah,
it's funny. Google is usually a step behind on the actual camera hardware, and they mostly focus on software and just blow everybody out of the water. And that's really what we want to test out. But before we get into the phone itself any further, let's kind of see what else is inside this box. Because we don't even know. This is our first time opening up a Pixel 4 and a Pixel 4 XL. So you have the directions that you will never read, although hidden in the directions is a SIM ejector tool that may be actually useful for you, and if you're swapping SIM cards. Funny thing is, this this phone is available on all U.S. carriers, and that's a significant change. It used to be a Verizon exclusive in the U.S. And it begins at $799 for this version here, so that's kind of a good thing.
$899 in the U.S. for the Pixel XL.
Yeah. So we have a USB-C to USB-C charger. You have the same in the Pixel 4 XL, and that's kind of a handy thing. It doesn't have a little nub on it that used to actually help you wrap the cable. That was kind of a staple of some of the prior Pixel phones, but you get rid of this paper. So You know, the cable seems just as long as it has been previously, but yeah, that little nub is missing that used to help you wind up the cable. I don't know if anybody actually used that. It wasn't the strongest way to coil your cable for your phone. But also inside is this little thing. Have you ever used this?
No, because I don't have a MacBook.
Ah, so yeah, if you want to plug it into a MacBook or transfer stuff from a different device and not wait around for a wireless connection to do so, this is, I think they call it an OTG cable, and that is, you know, the ability to transfer data through USB-C from a regular USB-C or regular USB connection. Now, this is going to be the power brick, and once again, it is the same as last year's. It is USB-C on this end, which is something that I wasn't quite ready for when they came out with it for, I think it was the first Pixel, and it was a USB-C connector, and everybody else was using USB-A on this one end. But now, I am all USB-C, so that's kind of a great thing. Google was ahead of its time.
Even Apple is jumping in on the USB-C to USB-C band, well, the Lightning to USB-C bandwagon, but this allows for faster charging. Of course, the phone will cap out at some point. Not all phones can get that fast,
right.
As fast as each other. The Samsung S10 can get up to 45 watts. The S10 or the Note 10?
The Note 10.
The Note 10 with the optional 45 watt. This should be, it's going to be faster than an Apple, that's for sure.
Yes,
faster than an iPhone.
yeah, so it may not be 45, but it's definitely faster than an iPhone, and that's a really good thing. So you have a user guide here and the safety instructions, which I'm not going to use that. So that is everything that's in the box pretty much for the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 4 XL, but definitely love your color that you have. You know, I like the white, and there's also the black version, but
you'll notice it's a different white and a different back finish than last year's. They went with an all-one sort of matte tone here, and instead of this like sort of two-tone here, and definitely a sandwich. The outer rim is still aluminum, but instead of the glossy that you saw, it is kind of a textured. So it's going to be a little better grip, but some of you might see it as a little bit cheaper. Kind of like the feel you'd get on a mid-range phone.
I like it because it's not as slippery, or it feels a little more grippy. And also the iPhone has a matte finish, or an almost, yeah, I would say I call it a matte look to it, versus the glossy iPhone from years prior. It's the year of the matte, which I'm not opposed to. So yeah, I prefer this, and also less fingerprints or fewer fingerprints on there. So that's kind of nice. So
you'll also notice there's no more rear fingerprint display.
That's another thing.
All Face ID this time.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So your finger may gravitate towards that display or that fingerprint reader, and that scanner is no longer there. And there's not one inside the screen like you're seeing on a lot of phones. For example, Samsung phones, Huawei phones. It's just not a thing, and so they're relying on the camera in the front, and it has and also radar. So there's radar Project Soli, which we saw at Google I/O ages ago before it was being held in Mountain View. That was something that was in the Moscone Center in San Francisco, and so that was something I remember testing, and it never actually made it into a Google product you could buy. But here it is. It's Google touted it as the first smartphone with radar inside. I don't know if you need that, but it does gestures, and you can switch tracks and stop music and everything. I don't know what that's going to do for people in day-to-day use, but it's kind of a cool tech, tech thing to show off to people.
And definitely something that we're going to look forward to testing in our full review.
Yeah. So let's outfit these with some cases. So let's do this one first. Comes in a little planet-friendly bag, I guess. And yeah, they are apparently made from recycled materials. What's interesting about the Google Home Mini, or the Google Nest Mini now, as it's called, is that it's made from 100% recycled plastic bottles. And this seems to be on that same mission of being better for the planet. And it's made of the world's first compostable phone case. So that's kind of a nice thing. So all that recycling you've done has gotten me this case. Thank you. That's a great thing. I like your color. Very standout.
Nice off orange, or sorry, off yellow. Honestly, don't know if I like covering up the sweet oh-so orange here. But if you've got to do it, might as well go for something that's a little bit better for the environment.
Super awkward. I have a case for the XL version. I just realized this, and I have the smaller Google Pixel 4. Okay, moving on. So we have a Joby case. Joby is known for their GorillaPod tripods, those flexible tripods that you'll see a lot of YouTubers have. And so we will unbox this.
It's a little bit of a tear tape here, so we're gonna have to do some surgery.
Right. Don't quite think this is made of planet-friendly material, but cool nonetheless, because this is what happens. You have the ability to stand this up. Boom. And then there you go.
With varying strengths to shift which angle you want your phone to be at, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Once again, I think I got a phone with a case for the Pixel 4 XL, but that's all right. I love the idea of it, because as you're using your phone more and more, especially the 4 XL version, and it has a giant screen on it, you know, sometimes your iPad or whatever you're using as a tablet runs out of battery on a plane, and then you're like, yeah, I have some Netflix episodes downloaded on my phone. Use this as a way to watch some videos, so it's kind of cool. And then let's open up the Google Nest Mini. So the Nest Mini, they're using the Nest trademark and the Nest branding these days. So they bought Nest a couple of years ago, and or they formed that. They bought a company called Dropbox, which I really like. And they have cameras out these days. They have for security, and they have you know, a lot of speakers, and that's really cool. And here it is. This is the new, I believe it's, so it says it's the 2nd generation version. I believe this is the sky color.
And
yep, the sky color. And what do you have? You have
this is chalk.
Chalk.
So your traditional gray.
Yep, the gray version. This is like more of a blue hue. It replaces the aqua color that was out there, and also there was a mint color. So if you want a bluish color, sky is the way to go. And inside you have the instructions. So let's get started. Pretty quick user guide. And you also have, this is the thing that people have been questioning the most, is you have a connection there. It's hardwired to the outlet side, so the plug side, and then you don't have a micro USB anymore, but wait, it's not USB-C. It is a regular jack, so you'll have to deal with that, and that's fine. It's just easier when everything's USB-C, because you can just be like, oh, I lost the USB-C, boom, I can power this up. Not the case here. That's okay. What's significant about the Google Nest Mini, besides the name change, is that it's the base is twice as powerful, and yet it retains the same form factor and the same price. It's $50 in the US, and then on Black Friday, a lot of times that drops down. It does have a mute switch, but there's no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Yeah, and this thing's kind of neat.
So, because they know it's going to be mounted in your home somewhere, placed around, it's literally a nail hook. Mm-hmm. You can pick these up in a hardware store, probably just throw a nail in a wall.
Yeah.
Or a push pin if they're small enough.
It's interesting because, you know, there were a lot of third-party manufacturers who had hooks that you could just put, you know, the old version on, and it would wrap around and stay on a wall if you wanted it to. Well, not that they're going out of business, but that idea is kind of moot at this point, because you can, just use this hole, and that's kind of a neat thing.
We're definitely seeing a lot more of these products be geared toward being situated somewhere. Amazon a couple weeks ago, we definitely saw some plug-in mini echoes. So Google definitely wants this to be conveniently placed absently around the house instead of just stuck on a desk or stuck on a counter somewhere.
Yeah, and then so yeah, that's the Google Nest Mini. That's probably going to be the hardest thing to remember, that it has a slightly different name, that they're using the Nest name, but also made of 100% plastic bottles and just recycled material. So that's kind of a neat thing, and it feels the same. So I feel like that's a really nice thing, that when they could get to that point. And then they're using, to make the colors water-based colors, so they're not using a lot of material that is brand new. So that's kind of a nice thing. The last thing that we have is this, I believe the company's name is IoT, but I see them around all the time. But it's something that we could put to use, maybe not necessarily in New York City where a lot of people don't drive, but it's the ability to have a wireless charger plus a car mount. So this fits in either a CD slot or an air vent. And that's kind of a nice thing that you could use that. I don't know if I'm gonna fully unbox that. If you're going for it, go for it. But it is, it's helpful, and it fits, it's universal, so it's not just a Pixel 4 thing or Pixel 4 XL thing. But it's kind of nice in that it doesn't take up space on your dash. Now, I've owned one previously, not this specific one, but one that fit into an air vent. Hard to get off, yes, but if you're in love with the idea, it's kind of a nice thing to be able to not take up some of your windshield, and it never falls off because it's stuck to an air vent. So that's really great. If you still have a CD player in your car, even better. I think that's a lot of people aren't using that. They're just plugging in their phone or using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So, and there it is. Good job. You got that?
Yeah.
So it's not too big, and it fits the phone.
Yeah, a lot of these are pretty phone agnostic, which is kind of nice. You literally just lodge it in there, and the arms will kind of keep it in. If you drive, and if you drive all the time and you get directions, you're going to be perching this up somewhere. You might as well charge your phone while you do it.
Yeah, using battery life, especially with the navigation and screen on time, those are the biggest drains of batteries.
So it's kind of nice to charge as you go. Honestly, wireless charging still isn't that fast, but it's kind of a you might as well thing.
Every little bit helps. So what we're going to do now is make these phones, we just have our old data on there, so we're going to load them up with everything that's on an old Android phone. And actually, I like to start mine from fresh, so I'm going to try that and then put all my apps on there, test it out, speed test it, test the battery life, and then most importantly, we're going to go out and test the camera. We're going to have a review on there. You can check out techradar.com and see the review right now, because we're updating our impressions all the time on these phones, because you have to test them out along with things like an iPhone and really see the camera differences at the same time with the same cloud cover. So we like to test out 6 phones at once. I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you're trying to determine what has the best white balance, that's something that Google claims, or what can take a picture of the stars, something that Google claims as well with their astrophotography and the night sight mode that they have. That's something that really requires a lot of comparisons, and we take time to do that. So we take pride in these camera reviews and the phone reviews in general. So yeah. Looking
forward to taking it for a spin.
Despite everything leaking out for the Google Pixel 4, I'm kind of impressed with everything we saw. And that's mostly because, there's a lot of bezel on these phones, as you can see, but the design isn't what wins us over. It's that camera, and it may have a large block on there, but I'm okay with that. I would rather have more function than fashion, which I find that the Samsung phones have the screen that has pixels spilling over the left and right sides with the curved display. That's great. I love that display. Favorite one out there. But this camera, probably the most important thing, because when you're showing off what you're doing during the day, that matters. And you know, some of the example photos that Google showed were pretty amazing.
Yeah, especially with low light.
Yeah.
And their portrait and their new HDR settings for some of that. Yeah, this is going to be a work in progress to see where it situates, especially as we expect on our best camera list, best camera phone list.
Yeah. So I'm Matt Swider.
I'm David Lem.
And keep it locked to techradar.com because, yeah, now that we've unboxed everything, we'll have the reviews up and, yeah, you'll be able to check out our impressions.